You read the title. Welcome back to Tales from the Tower. This is the series where I torture myself with endless floors of the new Endless Tower. Is my chair creaking? And whenever I hit big milestones, we stop and reflect on stuff for a while to celebrate the goals that we met. A few quick announcements. I'm opening up an anonymous Google form in the description for you guys to send stories, conversation topics, or questions. Here's all I'm asking. Don't ask weird questions. If you think a question is weird, it probably is. If you want to send a story, start it off with one time I ... That way I know it's a story. And if you want me to cover a topic, just say, I think you should talk about ... You can include your name if you want, but you don't really have to. Second, bigger announcement. Lucia Deadly Pulls will be happening this Friday night. If you want to learn more about that, I'll have a video going up either later today or tomorrow talking about it, and a YouTube post with the time up so you can plan your schedules accordingly. Trust me, you don't really want to miss this one. And with all that out of the way, let's get into the tower. So one time I went out and I got New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which, I mean, it was alright. The original was better. Anyway, I came home and I found my dad had gotten tacos. Now, number one, I was really looking forward to playing the new game because I really liked the original. And number two, I was really fucking hungry. Also, the place he got them from was apparently like really good. So I got a little bit overzealous and started eating kind of fast. Like, very fast. I don't do this anymore, particularly because this experience trained me against it. But the tacos weren't super big, so once one of them got down to like maybe 1/3 or 1/2, I was just like, fuck it. And I put the whole thing, put the whole thing in my mouth. And the second I did this, I realized that I messed up, because you may not know this, but 1/2 of a not bite-sized taco is not meant to be eaten in one bite. I realized almost immediately that this was, this sounds fucking wild, dude. I realized it was too, I realized it was too big. I'm not saying that. And it went, I'm not saying that either. Okay, I'm putting it on screen. And I couldn't chew it. So all I could do was, I'm not saying swallow. Gulp. All I could do was gulp. And from that moment on, I think I was probably locked into the singular most painful experience of my life. So first I started kind of choking, and you get that sensation in your throat. I hate this. Why am I telling this? You get that sensation where you try to breathe and you can't, and you go into like panic mode. So that happened for like maybe 4 or 5 seconds, and I started doing the thing people do in movies where you beat on your chest a bit, and I coughed up a little bit of it up, but most of it still went down. But most of it still ended up going down, and I drank a bunch of water so it would go down smoother, because it was like, it got like stuck in my throat, and that was a terrible feeling. And then, I just like did some deep breaths and drank a bunch of water. I don't really know how long it was until after it started, but eventually I just started feeling this excruciating pain, like in my upper like chest, my upper stomach, I guess. And honestly, it hurt so bad I might have like cried. So for the next 2 hours, I laid in bed feeling the taco slowly work its way down my digestive system. You know when you play like a 3D Sonic game and he grinds on the rails and goes really fast and he's like, whoa! That's what the taco was doing to my stomach lining. For 2 hours. The pain literally started up at the top of my chest, and I could feel it like going down to the bottom. Like I could feel all the movements. Is that what giving birth is like? I had to lay in this very particular way so that it wouldn't hurt, and then after playing the new Mario game, which ended up not being that good for like 2 hours again, just by myself trying to distract myself, I randomly started feeling pain no matter what I did. And I remember panicking, so I was like, oh my god, like I had to deal with this shit. So I started shifting in my bed, and then out of nowhere, it just got worse. And then it got worse, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to die. Because like, it sounds so silly, but it hurt so unreasonably bad, bro. And then once it got so bad that I thought I was about to die, randomly, for no reason, it just stopped, like completely. And I laid back down in my bed and I just let out like the longest sigh of relief ever. Anyway, moral of the story, chew your fucking food. One time I was laying in bed and I, for some reason, was just on Spotify checking stuff out at like 3 a.m. I looked through my old like songs and I realized I had It's Just a Burning Memory by The Caretaker on there, which, if you don't know, is from the album Everywhere at the End of Time. And it's basically like an audio exploration of dementia. It starts out sounding mostly coherent and like old-timey music. For example, It's Just a Burning Memory is a sample of Heartaches by Al Boli, which is actually a really good song. I recommend it. And anyway, most of the first album sounds like stuff like an older person nowadays would hear during their youth, and then it slowly degrades into an anxiety-inducing noise for the rest of the 6 albums, and then it goes quiet, and then whoever the protagonist was is presumably dead. I used to be scared of just about like everything as a kid, but dementia and amnesia are one of the few things that I actually am still genuinely afraid. And it's so funny because I just watched this movie recently called It's Such a Beautiful Day by Don Hertzfeldt, which I'm not going to spoil, but I will say it deals with this and stuff like it. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time now that I've seen it, by the way. You should go watch it. I think it's on YouTube. And just looking at the albums and cover arts for the Caretaker stuff, like obviously I didn't like hit play on the final album. That would have given me nightmares. But I was just looking at the album, like the album art and the cover art and the titles, and it was just giving me anxiety. Especially because I was up really late, and I'm 99% sure that lack of sleep or continued lack of sleep raises the risk of dementia, but don't quote me on that. And I remember putting my phone down and making the executive decision to go to sleep and just being afraid. Like I literally felt like a little kid in the dark, because seriously, think about it. When you're little, when you're afraid of like the fucking boogeyman or some horror film or some scary shit you saw on TV coming to kill you at night, okay, maybe that was just me. Or at least you're scared of the dark for a bit, but you get older and you realize there's nothing there. You know, there's nothing you have to worry about. You straight up. Man, I'm sorry. But when you get older, you have to worry about other stuff that actually is a threat to you, like getting shot. Not saying we should discredit kids' fears, but like I'm more scared of dementia now than I am of Slender Man. But I mentioned the movie earlier because one of the things I think it was trying to say is that we're always finding more disappointment in the things we didn't do or the beauty in life that we didn't notice. There are so many things I have in my life, including all of you, that matter more to me than letting my fear of not remembering anything and dying in my old age. Like, it's not worth letting that ruin my life right now, you know? I won't lie, like, with YouTube and all this other stuff that's going on, it feels like life is going like a million miles an hour. And we see these profound movies or play these profound games or hear inspiring stories or read amazing books that teach us things, and I think sometimes we just forget. I mean, I literally watched It's Such a Beautiful Day like last week, and here I am not even appreciating what I did during the day or slowing down at all. I guess just remind yourself of what matters, at least every now and then. Use the beauty of written language to not forget things that are important, and try to notice there are people around you who care. Even if you don't notice that somebody loves you, just that alone itself is enough to make every day beautiful. One time I was in my room playing Guitar Hero, and I think I was playing either Tomorrow by Shisamo, Fire Band, or Reelin' in the Years by Steely Dan, which are 2 songs that I played all the time because they were kind of hard, at least for a beginner, and I wanted to practice and get better. Now, I would rather learn an actual guitar, but whatever. Anyway, I'm playing Guitar Hero, or Clone Hero, obviously, on max volume. Well, not max volume because I value my hearing, but I was playing it decently loud. I was locked in. I could hear the blender going in the other room, and I'm playing, and I'm locked in, and I hear a knock at my door. And because of the game, I had no idea what they said. So I just said, okay, or like, I'll be out in a minute, or something like that. And I finished the song. By the way, regardless of what the song was, Tomorrow by Shisamo is like 5 minutes long, and I think Reelin' in the Years is like 4:45. So, and it was like in the middle of the song, so I had at least been gone for like 2 to 3 minutes by the time they knocked on my door. Anyway, I come out to the kitchen, and I'm like, man, what's all the hubbub about? Because I see it, like the whole family got in the kitchen, basically. And I walk up, yo, trigger warning, blood. But it's funny, but it's not, it's kind of funny, but it's like, whatever. Anyway, I walk in, and there's a, I don't even say, there's a bunch of red stuff all on the ground. And I'm like, oh, because you know, like when you cook beef, or like when you cook like ham or stuff, sometimes like the blood from the blood from the meat will like fall on the ground. It's like, because like that happened once a steak, and there was like a bunch of stuff that looked like blood, but it wasn't, it was just like meat juice or whatever. And I was like, oh my god, this looks crazy. So I walk in the kitchen, and there's red stuff all over the floor. I'm like, oh, somebody must have spilled the ham. And I'm like, I look up, and my dad is holding this huge knife, and then he's holding his arm, and he looks at me, and he's like, I cut myself on accident. And I realize there's like there's blood like all over the kitchen. It's on the counter, it's on the floor, it's on the table he was cutting the meat on. It's fucking everywhere. And I realized that it was my mom that knocked on my door and asked me to come out because my dad was bleeding all over the kitchen. And I mean, he's fine now, but she like ran and got the emergency kit, and then she looked at me and she was like, my mom is a very clean person, by the way, so having her husband's blood all over the kitchen was not exactly a fun. She's also very squeamish, so germs from blood plus being squeamish, like nightmare blood rotation for her. I was just standing there like, what the fuck do I do? And then she was like, can you help me clean up? So I got a bunch of paper towels and like a dirty rag that we're never gonna use again, and we wiped it and we disinfected and we sanitized and we sprayed everything. And then my dad was driven to the ER and they patched him up. And I don't know, I just think about it, it's so funny because when I was a kid with a knife, not knowing how to use a knife, I was always cut towards myself, and then my dad would be like, don't do that. And then he's using a huge fucking knife to cut a huge piece of meat, and he literally said, like, when he was talking about it, he was like, I know I probably shouldn't cut towards myself, but I'm an adult, I can handle this, I'll be fine. And then he did it, and then he immediately, he like, the knife went through the meat, and it just like, shing, and then just, yeah. Anyway, he's fine now, but he has a scar, and it's funny. So, yeah. Don't cut towards yourself. Always cut away from yourself, even with scissors. And don't think you're not gonna get hurt just because you're an adult. Thanks for watching Tales from the Tower. Be sure to check out the form in the description and the live stream on Friday night. Probably tomorrow by the time you're seeing this. Next up, Floor 500.